Today, we are actually interviewing my sister, Ruth. She is a top-notch producer. She is very creative. I admire her so much. I wish I could have the energy she has because she does probably like 50 billion jobs at once. But I wanted to interview her because I know that there's probably people that are interested in getting into producing and they just don't know how. And also, I just feel like it's great to interview someone that's from my family because I'm always proud of the people in my family, especially my sister. And so I'm excited about this. I think you're going to learn a lot from her. And I just want to thank you, Ruth, for taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule, even just barely got to eat dinner and still join us. So let's start off with, when you were a kid, when you were growing up, you wanted to be an actress, and that was what you always wanted to do. You knew it from day one, since you were like 5 years old. It was like, it wasn't even a question. And then later on, you moved to California and you did pursue acting, but then you ended up getting in producing. What led you down that pathway? What changed for you?
Yeah, totally. So for me, it wasn't like a straight line, which I think most people's paths aren't. I originally moved to LA to pursue acting. And for me, the difference between acting and producing, well, there's a couple steps in between. So originally I came to LA for acting. And then I quickly learned the business of acting. It is not this creative sense of where you can just be the best actor and then you're hired. There's so much more of a business behind it. And it's much more of a gypsy lifestyle. So for me, it just didn't make sense. Like for who I am as a person, like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so I just wanted to be part of the industry in any kind of way because I loved it so much. I love telling stories. I love being a part of just like the massiveness that is the industry. And so the only thing I knew at that time was like, okay, work for the studios. So I got a
Right.
job working at CBS. Initially, my first job was in business affairs, which I thought was a great stepping stone because I learned a lot about the deals, the negotiations, the contracts, again, like more of the business side of things. Went from there to working at Sony. I worked at Sony in licensing and marketing, again, more of the business side of things. And then this is like kind of the luck mixed in with the preparation. Whereas like one day I was like, I just want to produce. And I told my friend and I said it out loud. I put it out into the universe. And she was like, well, how do you produce? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know like the steps you take to do that. The next night, she had dinner with a friend that was like, I'm making this movie. It's about women and I need a
No
female
way.
producer. And she was like, I know the perfect person. And so I got very lucky in that I was able to produce my first film with a great group of people while I was still working at Sony. Fell in love with the process, fell in love with the storytelling. I finally found the niche that I was looking for all of this time and ended up leaving my job to do independent producing. And then COVID hit,
Oh, goodness.
which is awesome. And everything
Right.
shut down. And so I didn't do anything for a while. And then my producing partner came to me and was like, and we ended up getting into music videos. And like, that's just kind of gotten bigger and bigger. Like the budget started out this big and now they're like this big. So now we do that. I'm developing TV shows. I'm working on different scripts with different writers. Like there's just in a creative industry or a creative career path, you're always doing multiple things. You're never doing one thing.
That's awesome. Like, it's kind of funny that you kind of started around the pandemic. I started this YouTube channel in the pandemic. It was almost
Yeah.
like we were supposed to align some way. I was just always kind of wanted to do something with you because I'm like, hey, I mean, I'm not in this advanced stage as you are, but hey, it's just like we started something new that we were
Yeah.
excited about, that we wanted to do, and we pursued it. And yeah, a lot of times there's risk involved, especially what you did, you know?
I mean, it's always about passion, right? I've heard so many times the quote, if like you do something that you love, you'll find the money. We're so lucky to have found something we're passionate about because I know so many people that are still like, oh, I work a job I hate. I like don't know what I want to do. Like and even at an older age haven't found that passion, like to
Right.
at any age in your life, locate and recognize where your passion lies and be able to pursue that. Money doesn't really, it matters, of course, like if we have to survive, but at the
Right.
same time, like to be able to identify your passion and find a niche in it, like that alone is a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always believe in finding your purpose in life, your calling for life, so everybody has it all across the spectrum. You found your purpose and what makes you feel fulfilled, and you will use, I know you're going to use it for good because you have that desire to encourage women and build up women. You're a woman's woman, you're big on building up other women, which is huge. I agree with that. I think we all need to build each other up. We don't need to put each other down, especially women should not put other women down. And that's very admirable because that should be our mission, and we can do it in any kind of career life or path that we choose. So it's good that you're doing it
Just having
in
a
this
lunch with
facet.
somebody, and they were asking me, they're like, what is like your goal? I'm like, my goal is storytelling, but within storytelling, the whole point of what I want to do is I want to impact people's lives positively. I want to make them feel something. I want to make them think something they've never thought before.
Right.
And one of the main things that I'm really passionate about is women's rights. Like I truly believe like as both of us being women, like there's a lot that we've overcome like over the generations, but there's still so much work to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think there's always going to be, unfortunately, those prejudices against women, and thinking men can do it better than women, which is not true. I agree in men and women having both good attributes and that they do have something to offer to bring to the table. But I don't think that anyone should put women down because they think men should be ahead of them. That's not fair.
No, absolutely. And I think the whole point is anybody, regardless of your gender, regardless of your race, can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And there should never be any stereotypes in the way of like, oh, if you're this, you can't do this. Like,
Right.
it really depends on the person, not so much anything other than that.
Yeah, like where's your passion at? Are you a passionate person? Are you driven? That really makes somebody who they are in their career choice or their purpose or whatever that may be. And so that is what brings it out. And the passion is a huge, like if you're truly passionate about something, like you said, if you go for what you love, then you're going to be successful, because that you're going to be driven to make it happen. A lot of times people put their dreams aside and say, well, I can't do that, or I'm not going to make money off of that. And you never know. You may be that one person that makes that one thing blow up because you're the only person that did it, So,
I mean, I think that so many people say there's not enough hours in the day. And I agree. Like, I believe there's a struggle between having enough time and having, especially if you're working a full-time job, it is hard to find like a way out or like an ability to do it. But there is a way. Like I always say, my boyfriend's the hardest working guy I know because like
yes.
he's waking up at 4 a.m. and till 10:30 and he still comes home with enough energy to like spend an hour and a half, like so we're up till midnight, but it always giving all of himself to every minute of every day. Like even when I was working a full-time job, I was producing a film. I was going to set every night till like 2 a.m. and going back to work the next day, and every weekend working the entire weekend. Like there are enough hours in the day. It's just what are you dedicating it to?
Yes, absolutely. I just think that, when you have this eagerness to make something happen, if you look at you have 24 hours a day. You have 24 hours a day. You determine what you do with those 24 hours. You obviously want to sleep a little bit. You obviously want to make time to eat, but then what are you doing with the rest of the time? I mean, I have a full-time job as well, and I do this after work because I choose that this is what I want, something to grow out of this. I want something to come out of encouraging others and making it something out of my like purpose. Like, I want this to be something big, just like you're willing to put in the hours after your full-time job. And sometimes that means that you don't get much rest, unfortunately. But I know it will pay off in the long run. And while we're still young, it's good to pursue these things while we're still young and when we can still do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still young. Stop. You're younger than me. What do you like most about producing? Like, what is your, like, this is what I love about it the most? Like, what drives you the most about it?
Storytelling.
Yeah,
like I think the best part of any project is when you see the final product.
Yeah.
I think it's you know what it is too? Like, when I was younger, I told mom that I didn't want to die and be forgotten. And I think one of the most amazing things about entertainment and content is once you make a piece of content, it lives on forever. Like, even this podcast, like, this can't be destroyed now.
Yeah.
A piece of you will always exist.
That's true.
So when I am a part of content, like, a piece of me exists in that. And therefore, like, I technically never die.
That's true. That's a good way to look at it. I didn't really think of it that way, but that's actually a really good point. And to think the storytelling, I do like the creativity. I love writing, so that. And so it's like that purpose is so much to see like the story unfold. And as a writer, I love writing stories, so it's amazing the creativity that comes out of our desires and what we do with it. Like, we're not, how you perceive something is way different than what I would perceive. And so putting our perspectives and putting it on something like a podcast or a movie production or whatever it may be, it's like we get to do that. That creativity gets to be put out there, and then generation after generation gets to witness that production of whatever we've chosen to put out there. So that's awesome.
I even say to like the younger generations, like, before like YouTube, before like podcasts, before like all of these formats that exist now, that you are allowed to share your creativity with no barriers, that didn't exist for creatives back in the day. Like, somebody had to give you a license to like share your stories or share your ideas, and you had to like have it on a network and like that. Like, now you have the freedom. Like, if you want to produce, if you have a story to tell, if you have something to say, like, you have a platform that nobody's restricting you from not saying it.
Yeah.
And so if you're a passionate, creative person, like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it.
Very true. Like, we have so much more resources we have now than they've ever had. Like, I mean, you had to wait. I mean, there was I Love Lucy back in the day. We used to watch that and we loved that. But they didn't have the opportunities that we have. You had to work hard to get there, and you had to know someone. You had to know many people.
got the opportunity to do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's just the possibilities are endless today. So it's like, use the resources you got and make it happen. What do you dislike most about your producing? There's got to be something, right?
What do I dislike the most? Okay, so I'll say the thing that when you're a producer and you oversee a set and oversee a crew of people will always complain. No matter what you do, no matter how so it is never enough. But that's the same with entrepreneurship. It's the same with being the boss anywhere. Like, you're the head, and like nobody knows what you had to do to like get things organized. And so anything, it's just easy. It's like easy even for people. Like, if I pick up like a script you wrote, it's so easy for me to be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It's so easy to point out what's wrong and not recognize all the work that's done to make things right.
That's good. That's really good. I like that. Like, I feel like I would say that even with my day job, working with clients, I hate that the most too, the complaining. So I think that's on every like spectrum of everything. But it's so crazy that, people do have that ability to see the negative, but have a really hard time seeing the positive. And when you see reviews, it's like more people are likely to post like a negative review than a positive. And if we just would maybe consider being more positive and being more thankful for what people do, especially if they put a lot of hard work in, maybe that would make this world a better place. Let's just be real. Because a lot of times there's constructive criticism. Don't get me wrong. There's some, constructive criticism, but then also there is times where people are just mean, and just don't know when to stop,
I work with all of them.
Right?
I work with some great people, but like people complain.
But there will always be the complainers. If someone was like interested in being a producer, what would you say? Like, what steps would you tell them to get them started? Like, what would you recommend?
I mean, I think it depends on the type of producer you want to be. I think that if you want to produce content and you want like connect with writers, connect with directors, connect with like people in the industry that are either just starting off. Like I just spoke with somebody recently that she's in college and she was looking for advice, and she goes to like a school that's around the arts. I'm like, go, like I said to her, I'm like, go make content, go connect with people, build a team, build a director, get a writer, get like a lighting guy. Like all those people exist in your realm when you're at a college. And again, you have no barriers. Make a piece of content, put it up, see what happens. Like, be proud of yourself for even doing it, because the steps that it takes to even do that, like, are a lot, and you learn so much along the way. From the first like video I produced to versus the one now, like I've learned so much, but I only learn by doing.
That's good. Do and not hesitate. Like, I think a lot of times, well, I don't know anything. I don't know how to get started. And,
I'll tell you this. I know people at the top ranks of what they do. My child. I know people at the top ranks of what they do, and they all still doubt themselves. They all still doubt themselves. I know people that like were working with A-list directors that left set every day saying that they sucked, and they were making millions of dollars. In this, like, especially in the creative realm, we're so hard on ourselves. Like, we're always going to think of how like we're not enough. We're like, we need to be better. But you only get better by doing, and you're probably not as bad as you think you are.
Yeah. I mean, be a doer, don't be a quitter. And the thing about it is like, I definitely didn't know anything about editing, nor did I know anything about cameras. And I did the same thing, just did it. Been doing it for 3 years, but you just never know until you try. And that's the thing, is like, a lot of times, like you just said, you don't even put this first step. You're just like, oh, like you're waiting for something to come to you. But until you put the first step out and you put in the work, it ain't going to happen. So take a lesson from Ruth. She quit her job. Don't quit your job though. You can, maybe you should, but take a lesson from her. She took a risk. It paid off, right?
If this is the industry you want to work in, you're never just handed a job. Like, you have to always be looking, you always have to be expanding. And even if you're given a job, like, you won't be given the next one. Like, it's always like you're juggling consistently, so that when one thing ends, you have another thing lined up.
Yeah. And then you think about it too, you're always working towards somebody else's dream instead of your own dream. And so all that time, like, time is money. You've said this before, time is money. And all that time wasted, all that money wasted on somebody else's dream instead of your own, when you could be doing it, starting your dream up, starting putting time towards it. Invest in yourself, you know? I have like this just curious question for you. You've watched my YouTube videos, and I always like constructive criticism. What do you think I can do to improve my production in my videos?
I think you honestly, from the first videos that you did till now, you've already kind of expanded so extremely, and you've gotten like better cameras, you've like gotten like better graphics. Like, I think you've already done that. I think I'm really interested to see where you take your interview skills for like from here. Like, I think that's the next kind of frontier for you, because I think you like talking to people.
Yeah.
And I think it's just gonna, the more you do it on camera, the more comfortable you're gonna get. And I'd love to see where that leads for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years in your career?
I know you're going to say in life, and I'm like, married to Neil.
Well, career and life, like, you know, that kind of goes together, right?
Honestly, my hope for my career is that I'm producing my own shows or my own films with a team that I love. I think the one thing that I truly love about independent producing is I get to choose who I work with. And there's a lot of people that I work with that I love immensely, and I feel very blessed to be able to create with them. And I would like to continue expanding that group of people, because I love creative people. I love people that are passionate about what they do. And I love being surrounded by that. And if I can do that, if I can tell stories and affect people with a great group of people around me, like that would be my dream.
That's awesome. Well, I'm rooting for you, Ruth. I just think that you are on the right track. I see all the work you put in. You are a very hard worker, very creative. I am very beyond your years. I mean, you have so much wisdom. I think I think we're gonna see Ruth. I'm gonna call it. I think we're gonna see Ruth in some big production movie that she's not even expecting, and we're gonna be like, this is gonna be the interview. I'll be like, yep, she was on my show first. But thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have like a crazy schedule, but I love you for making time for me and giving such great advice. I think a lot of people can benefit from it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this interview, and I hope you stay encouraged.